inspired by Mark Patton dancing and a little bit turned on by Mark Patton dancing. All right, are you ready? Okay. So. Enjoy the film.
Very well versed in horror and queer horror and how it operates in the zeitgeist. Can you talk a little bit how the attitudes towards this film, A Nightmare on Elm Street, has changed and how you expect it to change now that people are seeing this film?
Sure. I think at one time we thought of Queerness in the horror as this sort of one-off, right? That this is the gay horror film. I think what analysis shows us is that Queerness has always been part of the horror film, from Nosferatu, Rebecca, Strangers on a Train. That there's something that it kind of upends the system, and that's kind of all. This is the terror of horror cinema, and this sort of repression that needs to push it back down. But we're in a kind of an interesting time now where queer people can get in the director's chair and make different types of stories about the terror of being a minority in culture rather than the monster.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What made you reach out to us?
So it's funny, I often have filmmakers kind of Skype in and talk to my students, and that was kind of an opportunity I saw with you guys to show that there's a sort of subcultural reading of films, and that someone was making a movie, right? That this is a story worth telling. And I'm so thrilled that you guys kind of found the larger story in this film and this experience.
Awesome. We're glad you did, because that was you were prepared and brought a whole new element to this than people were expecting. We hear that a lot.
That's fantastic to hear. Thanks.
And do you plan on adding this film to your class?
I have actually, yeah. So I teach this in my horror cinema class. I think it's one of the best examples to talk about queer panic, right? I do follow up this film by then doing Hostel, which is a remarkable film about queer panic, right? And the queer other.
Can we bring up Mark?
Yes.
Woo!
Everybody make some noise for Mr. Mark Patton!
Today is Mark's birthday.
I thought they forgot me.
45?
45? No, you know what? I'm 61 years old today.
Happy birthday, sexy!
Thank you. Love that. I used to fudge the age, but you can't because then it don't make sense. You know what I mean? The music doesn't make sense, the movies don't make sense, nothing makes sense. And, I worn out every mile of these 61 years, and I'm thrilled to be here. I was going to say, I started crying in this movie because on my birthday, my friend David and I drove to California. And we spent the night here, about here, on our way to California because we were picking the tour. And he was my boyfriend at the time. And I was about to meet Tim. And, it's amazing, like Jimmy Dean opened 5 years to the day. And this movie is officially opening on my birthday. And I think it's just God's way of telling me that everything's gonna be all right. So. Are we talking in 2 rooms at the same time?
We sure are.
Yeah, well, this is sold out in 2 theaters, so we're going to repeat your questions when you ask them, so that the people in the other room, which is equally full, is going to understand what we're talking about.
I'd like to say one thing. We are warriors here, the 3 of us, but this movie and Scream Queen really wouldn't be anything without our allies. And I think that we'd like to bring them up. So we have Kim Myers,
Woo!
Rusler, who are equally important to this entire story.
I'm supposed to get with you guys. They staged all this. We've never done this before, and all of a sudden, the only person they didn't rehearse was me. I was sitting out there going, what the fuck is going on? I'm supposed to be up there, and they're going to forget all about me, and Andy's going to talk, and I have so much to say. You know, so, these are my friends. This is my Lisa and my
Love interest.
So, here we are. You're Elm Street kids. You're going to see us on 35mm, I guess, tonight. So hopefully you'll come and see it.
All right, well, I'm going to start with a softball, and then I hope you guys have some good questions because I want you guys to have enough time with Mark here. But what did you think when they approached you about making this documentary? Was it hard to get emotionally prepared to go through this, or was this something you've been waiting for a long time?
The question is, was I emotionally prepared when these people came to me to start a documentary about me? And it's really not the way that it started. I actually just... I had gone off on tour, like you saw in the movie, and I really I love Jesse, and I love Nightmare on Elm Street, and I love myself, and I didn't want my obituary to be a blowjob joke. And I thought we deserved so much more, all three of us. So I decided to do that, and I set off on my journey, and I thought, 6 weeks, $10,000, good story, I'm gonna win an Academy Award, and I had no idea what I was doing. So a lot of people got involved in different ways. And then Roman actually, on this movie, which was called There Is No Jesse, Roman just came in, he read my book, There Is No Jesse, and then he got a hold of me online, and he was gonna do the music originally. And I remember thinking, oh my God, his website is so professional. I've got a professional in here. And then this one, he came on as the second cameraman, you know, he was gonna clean up after us, and in Florida, and he just wanted to be there. And then he looked around and said, these people do not know what they're doing. I'm gonna direct this thing. And he just barreled his way in, and he barreled his way in, and then I always call us the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. We're like the Trinity. It could not have been done without the three of us. Yes, you're the ghost. I guess. I don't know. Well, anyway, that's sacrilegious. That's sacrilegious. But you know, the thing is, like, this movie, literally without the three of us, could not have been done. We each had strengths and weaknesses, and we each grew up during it. This took 5 years and about $500,000, not 6 weeks and $10,000. And a lot of in-kind stuff and a lot of kindness from all of these people who did things for no money at all. And we go out and hawk our books and stuff like that. And that's how we got this done. We self-funded it. We got a wonderful $60,000 crowdfunding, which was done $10 at a time. And we needed that money, and we were so appreciative of it. And that went, and then we had to have more and more, and we sold our jewelry and took out credit cards, you know, that sort of thing. But anyway, so, you know, so I was, we didn't know it was gonna be about me, you know, originally. And then it became about me, and I don't really think anybody in their right mind sets out to make a documentary of their own life, because you see that it's not all pretty, you know. So anyway, I was ready.
All right, right here, right away, James.
So, It Chapter 2 has a really nice nod to Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Bill Hader's shirt is a nod to Jesse's shirt. I'm curious your thoughts on that character's arc, because it mirrors your own real life, you know, story.
Well, I'm going to preach to you now, all right? So, yes, and that was given to me, and that was an Easter egg, and it was put into that movie, and I'm thrilled with it. I got like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, and I just put the shirt into production. And so y'all will be able to buy both those shirts real soon, and that'll help us some more. But, you know, the thing is, it's like, it was funny because people on the internet would really get in an argument about it. What are you talking about? The straight kind of, I don't want to denigrate straight people in any way, but like straight guys, you know, why do you guys have to do that to everything? You know, and it's like, well, we know what we're talking about. Like, you know, costume designers and that, they put those tropes in there all the time. You know, they're coding you constantly. So I loved it, you know, but then I like to talk about what happened in the movie. You know, in where we come from, when the kiss came, right? People went, ugh, and made vomiting noises in the movie theater. And I know that at that point, every gay person in the movie theater turned into themselves and said, I'm not in the same place. And that's why we're out here doing this right now, so that no boy or girl will ever sit down in a movie theater again and be ashamed of themselves. You know? So yeah, so I love it. You know?
Now, on a side note, I was in a drive-through in a car watching Once Bitten in the 80s with my family when the entire gays in the shower joke came on, and I just felt like, oh, what the fuck? Like, this is the worst feeling. I'd rather watch a sex scene with my parents. This is awful. Like, so I absolutely, that was pretty much what like sparked the flame of this for me. So.
We all remember where we were when we heard Kelly Rowland call Freddy Krueger a faggot in a Christmas sweater, and that feeling is still happening now to a lot of people, so this movie couldn't come at a better time.
Another question? Right down here.
It's a beautiful film. Congrats. And, after you walked away from Hollywood, Mark, like, what was your relationship like with the film Freddy's Revenge, and how did your relationship change, and how long did that take?
Well, the question is that what was my relationship with Nightmare on Elm Street 2 like after I left show business? And I always like to express to people like leaving show business is like, if you look on the internet, you know, if somebody is, there was no claw marks on my career. I was in the business one day and I was out the next, because I literally walked into my agent's office and said, I'm gone. And you know, it's like once in a while I would Google myself to see if I'm still the top Google search, because I love that. And I knew it was a lot of power, so I didn't want to lose that. But I didn't dive deep, you know what I mean? And like Hector is sitting here crying, my husband is sitting here because he never saw this movie before. And this was his first time, so. And our little dog was cute, so. So, you know, we lived our lives in Mexico. You know, I mean, when Hector was a little boy, he stood in Mexico City, and there was a billboard of me 10 stories high, and he said, oh, I want to see that movie, but he couldn't afford to go to it. And he prayed to the Virgin Mary and said, oh, I want a boy just like that. And little did he know it got me. He got the real thing. So that's our life. You know, we were down there doing gallery. We had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful life. And when they found me for Never Sleep Again, right? I had turned down movies for years. But 10 years after I left Hollywood, I was still turning down movies. And it was all done through my sister-in-law. And these boys found me for Never Sleep Again. And my sister-in-law said, well, you know, look, they've been looking for you for 2 years. You know, like, do it. You know, as a favor to me. Because they're nice boys. That was Tommy and Daniel. And so 2 days later, we were on a plane, and I wasn't camera ready. You know, I was about 10 pounds overweight, and I looked like a big pig and the thing, so I can't really watch the movie. I watched it a little bit, and then I was like, oh my God. They were gonna let me tell my story, and they made me into a blowjob joke. And that's when I really got pissed off, you know? So my relationship was good. I made a lot of money from Nightmare on Elm Street. You can ask these guys, they did too. We made probably more after than we did in it. So I'm grateful, I love, and I was an interior designer and a decorator in Palm Beach, Florida. And at some point during any job, usually the husband would come to me with his hand behind his back, and he had a copy of Elm Street. And he said, is it true that you were the star of this movie? And I said, well, yes, it is. And he goes, could you sign this for my granddaughter? And then the power...
And he said, $50, please.
Oh, no, I was working for $700 an hour at that point. But I said, but at that point, the power dynamic would change in our relationship. And the client became grateful for me, because all of them would say, oh, I can't believe you gave up being a movie star to do this. And the power shifted. So with Nightmare on Elm Street, the power always shifts with me. You know what I mean? It's a card that I've gotten to play a lot. And so, yeah, so I have always loved Nightmare on Elm Street. I love Jesse. I think the acting is fabulous. I mean, like, look at these guys. I mean, look at that scene with Kim and I, you know, that you're gonna see later tonight. And I'm gonna invite you, for those of you who go to see it, to put this in your mind that maybe just it slipped, and she didn't play it this way, but like if it just slipped into her mind that Jesse was gay. You know what I mean? And she just realized, oh, my boyfriend's gay. And play the scene that way and see how beautiful it is. And I just think our acting, honestly, and Robert Englund, elevated it to, it's still a beautiful movie. To the one you're gonna watch tonight is just as beautiful as it was, you know? So I'm very proud of it, yeah.
Another question in the audience. All the way in the back, scream loud.
All right.
Question for the filmmakers. You're working with 5 years of footage. What was the editing process like?
You ready?
Do you have towels for me to cry on?
So he's asking what it's
Oh, okay.
like to work with 5 years of footage and what the editing process is like. You have to get to know your partner real well because you're gonna fight about every second of it. And your 7-hour cut is gonna take a long time. But seriously, there's a lot of different avenues we couldn't include in the film. And a lot of stuff that we think is important that we would like to continue with, a lot of gender role issues.
A lot of it was trying to find the right structure to tell the story. I think when I came to the project, they kind of pitched it to me as like, we want to make Madonna's Truth or Dare, but for horror movies. I was like, oh yeah, I should probably watch that movie.
I'm like, where's the fun? Yeah, where's the fun? I need the
Exactly,
dancing.
yeah, we need dancing, we need dancing, so.
We had a lot of fun stuff. It's just, what's it like? It's very difficult. And so we went through maybe 70 different cuts.
Very emotional, for sure.
Everyone has a different personality. So that's a tough question to answer specifically, but you come out of it and you're like, oh, there it is, got it.
Actually,
There.
this man at the end of the aisle over here is a film professor, and I made the mistake of showing him a rough cut before we did a test screening. He's like, you can tell when Dad is mad. He's like, I'm just kind of disappointed. You have all this good stuff. He didn't say these things, but this is the feeling I got. It was like, oh no, I fucked it up. So we had a test screening. We had 3 days, and he just was like, you know what? Like, you don't introduce Freddy Krueger until the 10 minutes into the film. And then we're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
We gotta make this movie make sense to people who have never seen a horror movie. And then we turned out that intro scene, I think, in 14 hours before our first test screening, and it worked. And he was right. So, thank you.
Thank you.
That timing, yeah.
Yeah.
The panic attack the day before.
I have a question for you two. Is it weird being here? Like, I mean, obviously you didn't make this movie expecting it was gonna become, you would be here with this, but I mean, how does it feel to do this? Is it odd?
Well, I mean, at this point, it's not odd, but yeah, there is a surreal feeling about it because we made this film just practically, basically speaking, we made this film, Elm Street, so many years ago, 1985. We've all changed and had journeys and lives and other work and other not personas, but careers, etc. And so, but it feels right. And we've talked about this in different forums and like this. It absolutely feels right from a very real, very human perspective, which we're all humans and we all have stories, and I've kind of shared this recently, and I've been thinking about this a lot. And so yes, in that sense, it's kind of odd on the one hand. Initially it was, but it makes perfect sense on the other. It's a revisiting for Mark, of course, personally for you. It's seeing this work of art by you guys, Roman and Tyler. I mean, it truly is. I know Robert and I have seen the film a few times, at least three times. And each time I'm blown away. I truly am. It's a work of art. You've told a wonderful story through Mark's story. And everyone can benefit from it. So yeah.
Was it weird that we bum rushed you in Florida? We're like, hey, you don't know us, but here's a bunch of personal questions.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was a little weird, but we were prepared. Mark kind of whispered in my, probably whispered more, get ready, there are going to be cameras.
You
there.
didn't know.
No.
You didn't know.
So
What do I know? You know? I don't know, you know? It was a natural progression, you guys. I mean, listen, I'm so proud of Nightmare on Elm Street. As Mark said, first of all, between Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and Vamp, I had so many gay followers my career that you guys have paid me, boy. Thank you! Right? I got so much fan mail, it was like, yeah, you got 100 from females and 10,000 from men. And I was like, ooh, let's open those. Because they were more exciting. You guys always had something great to say. Here's the real deal. Oh, and the pictures. Oh, the pictures. Woo! I was like, hey! Listen, we fell in love doing this movie anyway, Kim and Mark and I, and Marshall and Robert England, and you know, we missed him. We missed him so much, and his name would come up, and people would ask me, you know, where's Mark Patton? And I say, he's doing good, you know, he's down south doing well. But I really didn't know, so when he came back for the making of Never Sleep Again, you know, I got emotional, and I'm so glad, you know, that we reconnected. I love him so much, and I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of this movie. I just want to commend you guys on telling a story that I think can supersede, you know, any kind of one line or shallow or one-dimensional look at human beings judging other human beings. And I think it allows us to take a look at ourselves. And we've mentioned this a couple of times, you know, one of the greatest gifts for me doing this movie is never having to look back and have to apologize for something. And knowing that I'm proud of it, and it was a success when it came out. And it did make a lot of money when it came out, but more importantly is it gained momentum, and now it's an iconic cult classic. And I feel privileged to be a part of it.
I mean, this, I said you guys are allies, and this whole movie really relies on, I mean, we can be as strong and loud as we want to, but it's a lot of people that put a lot into this movie. And there's a lot of people that when they heard what this movie was like, I want to be a part of it. Can I help you with graphics? Can I do some color? Which leads me to sound. The score, I mean, maybe you're watching a documentary and not realizing it, but Alexander Taylor did our score. And it was weird because I've done a lot of films, and it's very rare to have somebody say, here, I gave you here's the next track, here's the next track, and everyone's like, wow, that's exactly what I needed. Like, you did them like this, and a little pitch, our pink vinyl soundtrack just came out this morning, and we brought it here specifically for this. So I was really excited about that. So he has, up there.
There's a great song on there called "Be a Good Whore," which I really love. It's my favorite, or "Share Along." So you pick it up because it's really good.
Yeah. So that's it. You were fantastic, and you made it all come true, because without the music, there's no real feeling that you get. It just brought it all together. So thank you.
I wish we could stay here all night, but unfortunately we're out of time. I want to thank you so much, Mark, Roman, Tyler, all of you for coming. If you guys are going to Nightmare on Elm Street 2, please come out. We're going to have a good talk after that as well. Go outside, get some merch, and come to the drag party tonight.